There's a strange contradiction that haunts almost everyone. We long to feel in control of our lives, to feel safe, stable, prepared, yet we live in a world that constantly changes, surprises, disappoints, and transforms. The more we cling to control, the more anxious we become. The more we try to predict the future, the more overwhelmed we feel in the present. But what if the real path to peace wasn't about tightening your grip but loosening it? What if the paradox is true that when you stop worrying about control, you actually begin to discover it? That's why you need to stay until the end of this video. Because what we're about to uncover isn't just an idea, it's a way of living, thinking, and breathing that can radically shift the way you face uncertainty. If you're tired of carrying the weight of what-ifs, tired of trying to micromanage every detail of your future, then this message is your turning point. And if these words speak to something inside you, leave a comment, "I trust the path." Let that be your declaration. You see, worry is clever. It disguises itself as preparation. It tells you that if you just think hard enough, plan well enough, imagine every possible outcome, you'll be safe. You'll finally relax. But you never do. Do you? Because the moment you solve one imagined problem, 10 more take its place. It's like running on a treadmill that never stops. No matter how far you run, you're still in the same room, tired, anxious, and nowhere closer to peace. Buddhism calls this the suffering of becoming the endless, chasing after safety, certainty, perfection. But what we forget is that this chase is optional. The Buddha didn't promise a life without change. He didn't promise a world without problems. What he offered was a way to relate to those problems, a way to meet uncertainty, not with panic, but with presence. And that's what most of us are never taught. We grow up thinking that control equals safety, that if we can control our jobs, our relationships, our image, health, our future, we'll be okay. But deep down, you already know it's not working. You're exhausted. You're wired at night, tense during the day, your chest tightening over things that haven't even happened yet. So what's the alternative? It's not apathy, it's not carelessness, it's not giving up. It's something far more radical and far more powerful. It's surrender. Not the kind of surrender that means giving in or checking out, but the surrender of the wise. The surrender that says, I will show up fully, do what I can, and release what I cannot control. The surrender that trusts in something deeper than prediction, the unfolding intelligence of life itself. Thich Nhat Hanh once said, letting go gives us freedom, and freedom is the only condition for happiness. If in our heart we still cling to anything, anger, anxiety, or possessions, we cannot be free, and that includes the illusion of control. So why do we cling so hard? Because uncertainty scares us, because we were never taught how to stand in the unknown without feeling powerless, because somewhere along the way we equated uncertainty with danger. But that's not a fact, that's a belief, and beliefs can be questioned, transformed, released. Uncertainty is not the enemy. It's the nature of life. The seasons change, our bodies change, our relationships evolve. Nothing is fixed, nothing is guaranteed. But in Buddhism, that's not a tragedy, it's a truth to be honored, because it's in that constant change that growth is possible, that healing is possible, that renewal is possible. Imagine if everything stayed the same forever. No loss, but no learning, no pain, but no compassion, no unknowns, but also no surprises. That's not peace, that's stagnation, and your soul was made to evolve. So instead of fearing change, what if you leaned into it? Instead of bracing against uncertainty, what if you breathed into it? Instead of trying to control everything, what if you began to trust? I know, trust can feel like a dangerous word, especially if you've been hurt, betrayed, let down. But this kind of trust is different. It's not blind faith in outcomes, it's a deep relationship with the present moment. A trust not in everything going your way, but in your ability to meet whatever comes with clarity and courage. That ability is already inside you. It's just been buried under years of conditioning. But Buddhist practice helps us uncover it not by force, but by presence. Ajahn Chah, the great Thai forest monk, said, "If you let go a little, you'll have a little peace. If you let go a lot, you'll have a lot of peace. If you let go completely, you'll know complete peace." But letting go doesn't mean doing nothing. It means doing your part, then releasing the outcome. It means showing up for your life, then stepping back and allowing life to respond. It means replacing the tight fist of worry with the open hand of awareness. You still care, you still act, but you don't carry what isn't yours to carry. And that is what gives you real control, not over events, but over your mind, not over outcomes, but over how you meet them. That is true power. That is true freedom. Worry tries to convince you that if you stop overthinking, something terrible will happen. But here's the irony: most of your suffering doesn't come from what happens. It comes from what you imagine might happen. And the mind is relentless. It spins stories, what-ifs, worst-case scenarios, all in the name of protection. But it's not protecting you. It's exhausting you. And the more you identify with every thought, the more imprisoned you become by your own imagination. Buddhism teaches us to become the observer, not the victim of thought, but the witness of it. Not to suppress our mind, but to see it clearly. That anxious voice that says, "You have to fix this now." What if everything goes wrong? That voice is not your enemy. It's a scared part of you that hasn't yet learned how to trust. You don't have to silence it. You have to meet it with compassion. You have to say, "I hear you, but I am choosing something else now." This choice doesn't happen once. It happens every day, sometimes every hour. It's not a switch you flip. It's a practice you return to. And the more you return, the more spacious your mind becomes, the less gripped you feel, the more clearly you can act, because your choices are no longer coming from fear, but from awareness. This is what the Buddha meant when he spoke of the middle way. Not extreme effort, not extreme surrender, but a balanced path of wise effort and wise letting go. You prepare, but you don't obsess. You care, but you don't cling. You act, but you don't grasp. And in that middle space, peace finds you. You don't have to chase it. You just have to stop chasing everything else. And I know it's hard, especially when life feels uncertain, when answers aren't clear, when the future is blurry. But maybe that's the invitation, not to predict the future, but to become fully alive in the present, not to force clarity, but to create stillness in which clarity can arise. So the next time you feel overwhelmed, anxious, or out of control, pause. Just pause. Feel your breath. Ask yourself gently, what am I trying to control right now that I cannot? And then ask a second question. What can I choose right now that supports peace instead of panic? Maybe you choose to take a breath. Maybe you choose to step away from the news, the screen, the conversation. Maybe you choose to sit quietly, even for 1 minute. Maybe you choose a small act of compassion for yourself or someone else. Whatever you choose, make it an act of alignment, not anxiety. Make it a return to the present. Because the present is always where your power lives. Not in yesterday's regrets, not in tomorrow's fears, but here, now. And the more you root yourself in now, the more capable you become, not of controlling life, but of co-creating with it. This is the shift. This is the invitation. This is the path of the one who no longer runs from uncertainty, but walks beside it with open eyes and an open heart. There's a quiet power that comes from no longer needing to know what happens next. A kind of strength that's not built from rigid plans or constant vigilance, but from deep inner stability. The kind of stability that says, even if things don't go my way, I can meet life as it is. And that's what begins to emerge when you shift from controlling life to flowing with it. We live in a world obsessed with guarantees. We want to know if our decisions will pay off, if our love will last, if our risks will succeed. And when life doesn't hand us that certainty, we panic, we overthink, we hesitate, we stall. But the teachings of the Buddha remind us that certainty is not where peace is found. Peace is found in presence, in trust, in wise action, followed by radical surrender. You are not meant to live every moment of your life in survival mode, anticipating disaster around every corner. Your nervous system wasn't designed for constant tension, but worry has become the default for so many of us. And not because we're weak, but because we've been taught to fear uncertainty more than we fear disconnection from ourselves. But Buddhist wisdom offers us another way. It shows us that while we cannot always control what happens, we can always control how we meet what happens. And this is where true mastery lives, not in domination of the world, but in mastery of the mind. Consider this: the mind that worries is a mind that is trying to feel safe. It wants assurance, it wants answers, it wants a map. But the mind that practices presence says, I don't need all the answers, I only need to be awake for the next step. And when you take that next step with awareness, you enter a flow of life that is so much bigger than fear. The Dalai Lama once said, if a problem can be solved, there is no need to worry. If it cannot be solved, worry is of no use. It sounds simple, but it's not always easy. That's because worry gives the illusion of control. It makes us feel like we're doing something when we feel helpless. But you are not helpless. You're simply standing at the edge of the unknown. And the unknown is not empty, it's full of possibility. So how do you stop worrying when it feels automatic? When your brain is trained to scan for danger? When your body tightens before you've even spoken a word? You begin by noticing. That's it, noticing. Noticing the first signs: tight shoulders, racing thoughts, that sinking sensation in your stomach, noticing without judgment, and then pausing, bringing your attention to your breath, inhaling slowly, exhaling gently, reminding your body, we are here, we are safe, we don't have to figure it all out right now. This is not avoidance, this is wisdom, because the truth is, most of your best insights come when your mind is calm, not when it's spinning. Clarity doesn't come from worry, it comes from stillness. That's why monks, even with nothing to their name, seem so full of peace. It's not because their lives are free from hardship, it's because they've trained their minds to stop resisting the present. They know that every moment of clinging is a moment of suffering, and every moment of letting go is a moment of peace. Let go doesn't mean let life fall apart. It means let go of the illusion that you can control everything. Let go of the belief that you're not safe unless you know the outcome. Let go of the need to know what's next before you take the first step. Because the truth is, life has never given you a full map. And yet, here you are. You've made it this far not because you predicted everything, but because you adapted, because you breathed through it, because some part of you, even in the hardest times, trusted that you could keep going. That part of you is still here. And when you begin to shift your energy from trying to control to learning how to trust, you begin to live with a different kind of ease. Not a careless ease, but a spiritual ease. The kind that arises when your heart is no longer clenched around needing life to look a certain way. And it's okay if you're not there yet. This is not about flipping a switch. This is about practice. A daily, imperfect, sacred practice of releasing the grip just a little more each day. So next time you find yourself in a moment of worry, try this. Pause. Notice your breath. Then say quietly to yourself, in this moment, I am okay. Feel the truth of that. Not the imagined disaster, not the feared future, but this moment, right now. You are breathing. You are present. You are not alone. You are okay.
Let that truth sink in. Let it become the anchor that steadies your mind.
Because worry can't live in the same space as presence. One always dissolves in the light of the other. When you return to the moment, again and again, you begin to see clearly what actually needs your attention and what doesn't. Most of what you worry about never comes to pass. And even the things that do, you meet them more powerfully when you're calm than when you're chaotic. This is the gift of spiritual control, not the ability to bend life to your will, but the ability to remain rooted no matter which way the wind blows. Buddhism doesn't promise that life will be easy, but it promises that you can meet life with wisdom, that suffering is optional when you meet pain with awareness, that peace is not found in a perfect life but in a trained mind.
A mind that doesn't chase every thought. A mind that doesn't grip every fear.
A mind that can let go.
You are not your worry. You are not your fear. You are not your anxious predictions. You are the one who observes all of that. The one who can step back. The one who can choose again.
And yes, sometimes the fear will still come. Sometimes it will grip you before you can catch it. That's okay. Don't make that wrong. Just notice. Just return. Just breathe. Every breath is a new chance to come home to yourself. And the more you do this, the more you begin to trust that you don't need to control the whole path. You only need to take the next step. Sometimes, the most powerful act you can take is to release your mental grip and say, I don't know what will happen, but I know I will be okay.
That's not weakness, that's strength of the highest kind.
Because you're no longer depending on control to feel safe. You're depending on presence, on inner steadiness, on spiritual alignment.
And that never leaves you.
That's why the Buddhist path is called the path of liberation. Not because life changes, but because your relationship to life changes. You are no longer bound by fear. You are no longer hijacked by every uncertainty. You are rooted, aware, calm, awake. So if life feels hard right now, if you're overwhelmed by decisions or fears or unknowns, start small.
Start with one breath, one conscious pause.
One moment of choosing presence over panic.
And then another.
Let your day unfold not from a place of mental scrambling, but from a place of inner alignment. You'll be amazed how much easier life feels, not because everything is solved, but because you are no longer at war with the unknown. The unknown becomes a teacher,
A mirror.
a sacred invitation to deepen your trust.
So stop worrying.
You are in control,
Not of life, but of your mind.
not of outcomes, but of how you meet them. Not of the future, but of your presence in this moment. And from that place, life becomes simpler, not always easier, but clearer, truer, more peaceful. And that peace, it begins with you, with the breath you take right now, with the thought you choose next, with the space you create between stimulus and response.
That is your power. That is your path. That is your peace. So walk it,
Begin again.
breathe, and trust the unfolding.